$490,000. That's what $100 a week becomes after 30 years in the Australian share market. The same $100 you drop on a Friday night, left alone, it quietly turns into nearly $500,000. But here's what nobody tells you. Two mates in Brisbane, Dan and Mia, both 30, same job, same $80,000 salary, both putting that exact same $100 a week into the market for 30 years. And they do not end up in the same place. Mia walks away with $65,000 more than Dan. Same money in, same 30 years. The only difference is one decision: where they put it. There's a question buried in that $65,000 gap that most Australians never think to ask. And the answer is worth more than $100,000 to you. Stick with me because I'll show you the exact moment their two paths split. So, how does $100 a week become $500,000? Two words: compound growth. Here's the honest part nobody tells you. For the first few years, $100 a week feels pointless. You put in $5,200 a year and the market hands you back loose change. After 10 years, you've got about $72,000. You put in $52,000. The market added $20,000. Slow. And then something quietly flips. Somewhere around your 11th year, for the first time, your money earns more in a single year than you put in. You didn't do anything different. Your $100 a week just crossed over, from savings into a machine. Nobody sends you a text. But that's the moment everything changes. After 20 years, about $210,000. You put in $104,000. Your money made you the other $100,000 plus. After 30 years, $490,000. You contributed $156,000. The market handed you the other $330,000 for the simple act of not touching it. From $100 a week, in a broad Australian ETF, a low-cost fund that just tracks the whole market, historically returning 7 to 8% a year. I'm using 7% to stay conservative, and a number that size is real money. That's a house paid off in plenty of Australian towns, or the difference between stopping work at 60 and grinding on until 70. For a couple doing this together, $200 a week between you. It's just under $1 million. Quick one before we get into the how. Everything here is general information only, not personal financial advice. For your own situation, talk to a licensed advisor. Now back to Dan and Mia, because they did the exact same thing except for one choice. Take Dan first. Dan keeps it simple. A standard brokerage account. Opens it on his phone. Buys a broad ETF. Done. He can pull the money out anytime. No restrictions. Total freedom. But freedom has a cost, and the cost is tax. Dan's dividends, the regular payments his ETF spits out, are taxed at his marginal rate. On $80,000 a year, that's 30% plus the Medicare levy. When he sells and makes a gain, he's taxed on that too. Though if he's held more than 12 months, he gets a 50% discount, so only half the gain is taxed. For now, at least. There's a change coming in 2027, and I'll come back to it. And because his ETF holds Australian shares, he often gets franking credits, tax the company already paid for him, which softens the hit. It's flexible, and it's fair enough. But notice what's happening. Every single year, Dan quietly hands over a slice of his returns to tax. Keep your eye on that slice. It's the villain of this whole story. Now Mia. Same job, same $100 a week, but Mia puts hers into superannuation. And I know exactly what you're thinking. Super's locked until you're 60. True, stay with me, because the tax numbers are about to make that lock look like a bargain. When Mia makes a voluntary contribution into super, a concessional contribution, it's taxed at 15%. Flat. Compare that to Dan, paying 30% on every extra dollar outside super. On $5,200 a year, that difference is about $900 every single year. And that $900 stays invested and compounds with everything else. Most Australians have no idea that gap even exists. If this channel's new to you, subscribe. We do this every week, and it keeps going. The earnings inside Mia's super are taxed at just 15%, not her marginal rate. Capital gains after 12 months, an effective 10%. Dan pays his full marginal rate on both. And here's the kicker. From July 2027, that 50% discount gets replaced by inflation indexing and a 30% minimum tax. But Super sits outside that change, so Mia's edge only widens. The catch, and it's a real one, is the lock. Mia can't touch a cent until she's 60. Super builds long-term wealth. It is not a rainy day fund. And there's a limit. The concessional cap is $32,500 a year. Current figures in the description. So, let's put Dan and Mia side by side. Same person, really. Same $100 a week, same 7%, same 30 years. The only difference is that slice of tax drag. Dan's brokerage account, with earnings taxed at 30%, gives him an effective return closer to 5%. After 30 years, about $345,000. Mia's Super, taxed at 15%, runs closer to 6%. After 30 years, about $410,000. That's $65,000. Same $100 a week. $65,000 apart, purely from where it landed. For a couple both doing it, the gap grows past $130,000. And it's actually bigger than that. That $65,000 doesn't even count the $900 a year Mia saved on contributions tax. Roughly $17 a week she kept instead of handing it to the ATO. Compounded over 30 years, that's another $85,000. Added up, and for someone on a standard income, Super's total edge is well over $100,000. That's the $100,000 question from the start of the video. Picture Dan at 60, working out that the version of him who used Super would have had 6 figures more. For the exact same effort, the exact same $100. He just never asked where the money should go. So which mate got it right? Dan or Mia? Trick question. The smartest move is to be both of them. Think of Super as the engine, the most tax-efficient place your long-term wealth can grow. If you're under 50 with money you won't need before 60, that's where the maths is strongest. And think of your brokerage account as the escape hatch. Wealth you can actually reach before 60 for a house deposit, a career change, an emergency. The right split depends on you, your age, your income, how far off 60 is. But as a starting point, do both. Put a little extra into Super on top of what your employer pays and build the brokerage account alongside it. $100 a week, split across both, is still close to $500,000 in 30 years. You just keep more of it when you arrive. Remember Dan and Mia? Same city, same job, same $80,000, same $100 a week, same 30 years. They even watched the same video about it. The only thing that ever put $100,000 between them was one question they answered differently. Where does the money go? Now you've answered it too. Subscribe if you want more of this. We do Australian money every week.